Did you know 1 in 2 college students watch documentaries on a fairly often basis? Although it could be argued that these results are true, this was a biased poll. I took that poll in a room of my friends because they know I'm making a documentary about documentaries. But this is not the only bias that documentaries have. Many modern-day documentaries have bias in them. Avid documentary watcher Haley Archambault thought it prevalent to discuss a more frequently appearing form of bias she has seen in documentaries.
I think especially really recently, there's been like this really big push to give all sides of an issue. Like, oh, we want to hear from both sides or all sides, or give voice to everybody involved. But that's just inherently biased. Like, not every side of an issue is inherently valuable as another. You can't take a scientist's opinion and like a scientist's view on something and say, oh, that is the equivalent to this post I read on Facebook. Yeah. Those are not the same thing. And that is a bias to showing a side that should not have as much gravity as the actual fact.
In her second interview, Archambault mentioned how devastating these biases could potentially be.
I truly believe that bias in documentaries really affects people.
In a 2021 study, researchers showed terminally ill patients documentaries of their ailments. These documentaries showed the patients' rights to end-of-life care being debated, which severely affected their mental health. This was a concrete example of how bias can affect people. Documentary film student Rose LaForest discusses how documentaries are not the only media form that can have these effects.
With watching biased media, because we all do it, because media is inherently biased, some people don't want to expand their horizons. Some people don't know better.
This shows that not only bias in documentaries, but also films, TikToks, YouTube and Vines, Instagram, Twitter, and even Facebook can have all sorts of negative effects on people's mental health.
I mean, the thing with documentaries is they're all going to be biased, because to have a good documentary, you have to be coming from a perspective. It's hard to be impartial and then also be having a statement and forming an opinion and trying to actually say something.
What LaForest is saying is that all bias, especially in documentaries, is prevalent throughout.
For a documentary to be good, it has to affect people, right? And so that gives the filmmaker a lot of power, and that can be used for like good or bad, because you can pretty easily use someone's emotions, use imagery, camera, sound to change someone's emotion.
Another study done in 2021 showed control groups footage of a documentary on animal meat consumption. The end results showed there was a significant difference in the amount of meat eaten by viewers before watching the film versus after, therefore proving yet again that bias in documentaries affects viewers.
Filmmaking, especially in documentary, is very manipulative, like inherently. And you have to kind of admit that if you're going into that industry, because that's the responsibility, right?
Key role in the confusion of documentary watching is the recent surge in production of mock documentaries or mockumentaries.
This is the forest where the devil landed when he was cast out of heaven. And at that spot, we'll find the entrance to hell.
Interim, a horror mockumentary shows how convincing these false productions of documentaries can be. Not only do mockumentaries add to the confusion, but some documentaries are set with a mission to persuade people to join religions, change their lifestyles, and donate money. The organization of Save the Children released a documentary set to make people help their cause to save starving children in Africa. However, after much criticism, it was revealed that this film came from a single lens. There are similar foundations in Europe to save obese children in America. These European agencies are encouraging viewers to view America in a similar lens that many Americans view African countries.
Sie hat nur wenig Zugang zu nahrhaften Lebensmitteln. Ihre schlechte Ernährung kann zu Diabetes, Herzkrankheiten und einer teuren Abhängigkeit vom Staat führen. 49 Millionen Amerikaner leiden unter Lebensmittelunsicherheit. Sie sind hungrig nach mehr als nach der nächsten Mahlzeit. Sie sind hungrig nach einem Wechsel.
Although bias in media is very hard to avoid, bias in documentaries, supposedly fact-based media, can affect viewers in extreme ways. However, bias in documentaries can be very hard to spot. Of course, this documentary has absolutely no bias, and anyone who worked on this film would be appalled to even think that a viewer could think that.